How do you make small talk? Are there things you shouldn't talk about? I will tell you everything you want to know about small talk. Hi, I'm Keiko from English-Empowered. I help Japanese researchers and business professionals improve their English communication skills for work. Today, I'm going to change things up a little bit and talk about small talk. I know many non-native speakers of English feel uncomfortable and nervous about having small talk in English. But you might be missing opportunities if you don't engage in small talk or if you don't know how to do it properly. So in this lesson, I will explain what is small talk, why it's important, taboo topics for small talk, good topics and example questions you can actually use in your future small talk. And finally, I will give you some tips for having small talk. By the end of this video, you will feel ready to go out and have small talk. Let's get started. So what is small talk? Small talk is a light, informal conversation, usually with someone you've met for the first time. If you're a researcher, think about international conferences. You're constantly meeting new people. When you're waiting in line, when you sit down for a session or a presentation, during lunch, and other mingling sessions. If you're a business professional, you might get introduced to new team members. You might meet new clients or business partners in meetings. You might also go to trade shows and networking events. There are many opportunities where you need to and should engage in small talk. Small talk might seem unimportant, but it has a very important role. Number one, small talk makes the situation less uncomfortable. English speakers, Americans in particular, don't like silence. So for example, if you're sitting at a table, waiting for a meeting to start, there's you and one more person at the table. It will be awkward to just sit there and say nothing. Small talk will break the ice and make you and the other person feel comfortable with each other. Number two, small talk helps you build relationships. When you meet someone for the first time, you don't just become best friends or business partners. Building relationships takes time. Small talk is a natural way for people to connect. It builds the foundation for future relationships. Then once you have successful small talk, you can move on to the next step with a more in-depth conversation. Now, there are some topics you shouldn't talk about in small talk. Basically, avoid controversial topics, things you and the other person might not agree on. And also avoid personal topics. In the United States, some of the taboo topics are politics. So don't say, this president is ridiculous. Religion. Don't ask, what religion do you believe in? Money. How much money do you make? That's a big no-no. Also, avoid making negative comments because you want to keep things positive in professional settings, especially when you meet someone for the first time. So don't say, how much longer do we have to wait? My intern is so lazy. That might make the other person uncomfortable. Then what should you talk about? There are different YouTube videos and blog articles that talk about good topics for small talk, but you gotta be careful. These topics might be alright for casual occasions, but they might not be appropriate for professional settings. For example, what's your favorite movie? Or, I love your shoes. Where'd you get them? They would not be appropriate at international conferences or in business meetings where you want to develop professional relationships. So to make things easier, I've picked out these 5 topics for small talk in professional settings. Weather, location, the event you are attending, work, and asking for advice. Let me explain each one of them with some examples. Weather. Weather is a great topic for small talk. It's neutral and easy to talk about. You can say, "What a gorgeous day, isn't it?" I knew Boston would be cold, but I wasn't expecting snow in April. This weekend is supposed to be nice. Do you have any plans? Location. If people are traveling from another city or even from another country, that will make a great topic for small talk. Ask about where they're from, like, are you originally from here? Where is your blah blah based? Like, where is your institute based? Where is your company based? Or talk about the location where you are. Like, is this your first time in blah blah? You can also talk about some local attractions. Like, have you seen blah blah yet? Or have you been to blah blah yet? Like, have you been to Alcatraz yet? If you're at an event, like a conference, a trade show, or a workshop, that will also give you a lot of topics you can talk about. For example, are you presenting? What did you think about a past event? Like, what did you think about the presentation? Are you going to a future event later? Like, are you going to the poster session later? Are you going to the welcome party later? Another great topic for small talk is work. People commonly talk about work in small talk, probably because it's easy to talk about. There's always something to talk about. And it can easily lead to more in-depth conversations. Some of the work-related questions you can ask are, how long have you been working for blah blah? What are you working on right now? If you're a researcher, you can say, what are your research interests? The last topic is not really a topic, but very helpful in building connections in small talk. And that is asking for advice or suggestions. For example, I want to have good clam chowder before I go back to Iowa. Do you know of a good seafood restaurant around here? I'm thinking of spending tomorrow afternoon visiting museums in the city. What are your recommendations? Like I said earlier, I'm interested in applying for the blah blah position. Who do you suggest I talk to? It's still small talk, so you don't want to ask for advice on your marriage or health or anything too personal. But if it's about minor subjects like the ones I showed you, it will help engage the other person in the conversation and help build a good relationship. So I've shown you 5 good topics for small talk and some example questions. You might say, how should I choose my topic? Well, there's no one right answer. My advice is to choose the topic that seems the most natural in that particular context. For example, if it's stormy outside, it'll be natural to say, "What a storm! I wonder how long it'll last." If you've just come out of a presentation, it'll be the most natural to talk about the presentation. You might say, "Did you like the presentation? What did you think about it?" I have 3 tips for you for having successful small talk. Number 1, look for something in common. During the small talk, look for something you and the other person have in common, like the field of work, the school you went to, where you grew up, etc. When you find something in common, you can ask follow-up questions like, "Oh, you're from Saitama too? Where in Saitama? Did you go to school there as well?" And when this happens, building relationships with them becomes easier. Number 2, engage the other person in the conversation. Ask the question rather than making a statement, because that will get the other person to talk. So with the storm example earlier, you might have a better chance getting a response when you say, "What a storm! Did you have to commute in this weather?" than just saying, "What a storm." Number 3, respect their choice not to engage in small talk. So engage the other person in the talk as much as possible to find a connection. But if they don't want to talk, that's their choice. They may not be in the mood to have small talk with you because they're tired, or maybe they just got a stressful work email. If you keep getting a one-word answer, or if they don't seem very interested, maybe they don't want to have small talk. It's okay. Respect their space and move on. In this lesson, we've talked about how to make small talk in professional settings. Small talk gives you a great chance to get to know the other person better and find initial connections. You never know, one good small talk might turn into a long-lasting friendship or partnership. Remember what we've talked about and try them out. And of course, don't forget to have fun. Let me know in the comment section which topic seems the easiest for you to talk about. If you go to English-Empowered blog, you will find more example questions for each topic. I put the link in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me. See you in the next lesson.